Hey, what's up, guys? This is MugenLord here, and apparently if you're a customer who purchased movies from a particular studio from PlayStation Network, you would no longer have access to those films by the end of the year, December 31st, 2023. And all I have to say is this further enforces why I believe an all digital era when it comes to our media is a bad idea if we don't have an alternative when it comes to having physical media. So before we dive into this article, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So let us dive into it. So apparently in Forbes, it states that PlayStation is deleting TV shows players paid for thanks to Warner Brothers Studios. So apparently, yes, Warner Bros. Discovery and Sony have pretty much backed out of a license agreement, and we'll dive into the article that really breaks down the details. So it says which shows. That would be Discovery TV shows, and the culprit yet again seems to be not necessarily Sony itself, but this is another move from Warner Brothers, who has been stripping content down from its services and deleting finished projects to save on residuals and get tax breaks respectively. And this is what I talked about when it comes to this whole digital media era. Is for the simplest fact is studios can just automatically, because it's all within their rights for them to pretty much strip away any type of media that you have purchased with your hard-earned money digitally for whatever reasons. And in this case, because of Warner Bros. Discoveries and their financial issues and the things that they're going through within the studio ever since they merged with Warner Brothers, they want to be able to get tax breaks. Because of tax breaks, they're willing to rob your pockets from all the movies that you purchase. They're willing to do that and rob you of that. So let us continue. Farther on, it says Warner Brothers recently merged with Discovery and HBO Max into Max, one of the worst rebrands in the industry. And this no doubt has something to do with that move and the expiration or alteration of some sort of licensing deal with PlayStation. And this is another thing, because when a particular company, especially with this whole digital thing, is when you purchase anything in forms of digital media, anything can happen, especially if a company goes bankrupt. And if the company goes bankrupt and disappear, that whole entire library would pretty much disappear alongside them. Or in this case, whatever license agreement that a company have with a certain other particular company, if that company happens to merge with another company, that license agreement deal can just go defunct. There's nothing they can do about it, because now it's a different entity. They no longer had to abide by that contract. And that is the case here when it comes to Warner Brothers and, of course, Discovery. This brand new merger that happened between the two pretty much knocked out Warner Brothers deal with Sony when it comes to a lot of their IP. Now, the crazy thing about it is there's over 1,300 films that's pretty much being pulled. And I'm talking about not even just films, but TV shows that has long extended seasons that's being stripped away. And can you imagine people who bought into these seasons and wanted to binge watch and invest their time into it, and they spent hundreds and hundreds and maybe upon thousands of dollars, on these TV shows to have for their digital collection, is just all gone. And then it says it's a few hundred seasons of shows. From what I can tell, thousands of episodes. Wild. This happened at the end of the year when some sort of deal expires. December 31st, 2023. It's unclear if Sony could be the blame for some of this, but it's also possible Warner Brothers was just asking for too big of a licensing bill for them to renew. But plenty of people are going to be mad at them over this, and it makes them think twice about purchasing digital content from PlayStation in the future. That's for sure. And that's the thing. You got to understand too, we in this era where everybody wants to stream, everybody wants to have streaming services. Netflix was the one that really pioneered that, and then every other company wanted to have the piece of the pie. And that's what's going on because of the merger with Warner Brothers and Discovery. They created their own streaming service called Max, and now they want to have all their libraries on their platform. And that's what happens. This is why it's just crazy to just advocate that all digital media is the future. This is where we should go, because I see a lot of it on Twitter. While people brag about, yeah, it's inevitable, digital's coming. Yes, that is inevitable, but we should never get rid of physical media. Physical media should be some kind of alternative because of situations like this. And Sony can't do anything about it, or refuse to do anything about it, because there's no way in the world Sony how Sony's going to respond to the customers. Sony took their money. Sony took the customers' money, who had the confidence that these films, these TV shows wasn't going to go anywhere. Or are they going to compensate them for this, or just say, oops, my bad, sorry for the loss? But I digress. So apparently that there's a few people on Twitter who really wanted to voice their opinion on it. And there's one person that goes by the name J-Rock, who essentially put up the agreement or the notice when it comes to the removal of these films. And the notice says, as of 31 December 2023, due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library. We sincerely thank you for your continued support. Thank you, PlayStation Store. And then you have Denisha Carter. She responds and says, I've been telling people for ages that the only real ownership is physical. If you purchase something that can only exist on a platform, you do not own it. It can be gone in an instant. And I've been saying this. Many people have been saying this. And yet you still have people out here advocating for an all digital future. And then we continue because you have other people who chimed in, from a person named Gaming Dave UK. David. On Steam, if an item is removed from the store due to licensing or anything other reason, those that own it can still download and play it. Sony are just straight stealing stuff here. I would at least expect a refund if it was me. And that's the thing about Steam. Like, I have Steam, but I never had refund or asked for a refund or anything, because I have a whole library of Steam games that I have yet to install and even play. So I really haven't invested in the platform. But from numerous of people that I've talked to, friends in my Discord, talked about, how Steam has pretty much perfected a better service when it comes to digital media, to where you still own the product, still have access to the product, no matter what happens. And for some strange reason, why Sony can't essentially adopt that same practice? So we can still, blame Sony for this in some kind of way, because the article states that, can we blame Sony for this? But I think you can, when you especially have Steam, that allows that alternative for you to actually own or still have that digital license, despite what happens to the library itself or the company. So why Sony didn't implement anything or safety measures in case something like that happens? So that makes you question things. And then, of course, if you don't know, this is not new from Sony. This happened back in 2022 as well, because in The Verge, they have also mentioned that Sony pretty much had removed access to hundreds of movies and TV shows from the PlayStation store in Germany and also Austria, which was the Paddington movie, Hunger Games, and many other movies that was produced by Studio Canal, where they essentially had removed the entire library. So this wasn't the first time, and this shutdown had pretty much happened in pretty much August the 31st of last year. And this was pretty much exactly 1 year after Sony discontinued movies and TV show purchases through its digital stores. So they pretty much have a history of this. And this is another thing that really has me curious. Like, even though they have a history of this, I don't understand why customers as well still take that chance and purchase movies from PlayStation Network, when Sony themselves has a history of constantly doing this. It's like customers don't look at the track record or don't look at the history, or this could be just normies who don't pay attention to any of the news that goes on in the gaming industry. They just go on and they just purchase these movies, but it's ridiculous. And then during this time back of last year, there was a notice post by PlayStation website blaming the evolving licensing agreement with content providers. And that is crazy. This is what I talk about time and time again, that these studios can just change their minds, whatever the license agreements happens or whatever that happens within the deals that they have to, when it comes to renewing these agreements, it can affect your digital library. And it's crazy, especially if you spent and you invested hundreds to maybe thousands of dollars in these libraries, and then they just go kapoof. They're just gone. There's nothing you can do about it. And this is why I always say that physical media should always remain to be a thing. And it's sad that digital media is slowly fading away. We talked about it before when it comes to Walmart. Microsoft is definitely pulling away from the whole physical media, and especially next year in 2024, you can expect in Walmart to not really have any physical Xbox games because of the whole digital era when it comes to the Microsoft Xbox Game Pass, which a lot of fans and a lot of the community is definitely investing into. And then we also have Best Buy, who's pretty much removing Blu-rays and all kinds of other physical media and DVDs because it's going to be an all digital future that we're embarking on. But we as customers still need some safety and precautions because of situations like this. And hopefully something will happen. Hopefully someone or other avenues or a market will be created for physical media, because this is ridiculous. But that essentially wraps everything up. I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think about Sony and the whole contract between Warner Brothers Discovery, and the fact is that customers are essentially losing everything as far as their digital library of TV shows and films from the studio, thousands of dollars? What are your thoughts? Is this going to continue, or are we going to hear more and more stories besides not only Sony but from other companies themselves, now that we're getting more and more streaming platforms releasing just like by the years? So definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.